Hello and welcome to the DCD studio. We're here at Connect New York. I'm very excited to be speaking with Eshan Don. My name's Sullivan. I'm head of channels for compute here at DCD and SDX Central. Eshan, tell me about yourself and your company, please.
I'm Eshan Don. I've been in construction for more than a decade, especially focused on large mega projects, which includes a lot of data center projects.
Okay.
Our focus with Krane has been on supply chain. That just means making sure we get the right material at the right time. And that'll involve a lot of things. And we're working really closely with owners and contractors to make sure that happens on time.
So you're CEO of Krane Tech.
Correct.
When you say that you're working on getting the right materials at the right time,
Yeah.
what materials are we mainly talking about here?
Transformers, switchgear, cooling equipment, AHUs, right? A lot of critical components that have long lead times.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of risk. And Crane's deployed on projects to make sure we mitigate that risk as much as possible.
I think that risk has become very evident.
Yes,
It's becoming a really crucial part of conversations, especially power and cooling conversations.
Yes.
We're seeing procurement as the bottleneck a lot of the time.
Absolutely.
So what does risk management in that context look like? What are some of the key areas that you're seeing customers struggle with that need to be addressed?
I mean, I like what you said. I always say that supply chain's the leading indicator of your project success. So if you get your supply chain right, 8 out of 10, you're going to hit your milestones, both on cost as well as schedule. I think the biggest thing that we've seen is that customers are taking a strategic intent towards managing supply chain. Rather than being passive, they're a lot more proactive. What that means is they're putting enterprise level solutions to understand data around lead times, price, suppliers, vendor quality, and feed that information all the way upstream into the spec so that they can sort of spec out the right material rather than do it vice versa. So that's been a huge change I've seen in terms of how owners and contractors are changing their mind about procurement.
Okay. And what is some of the education that still needs to be done? What are some of the gaps that clients often miss that actually would help mitigate a lot of this risk had they done?
I mean, it seems very simple because in the supply chain network, there's many stakeholders, architects, owners, contractors, suppliers, vendors. The biggest thing that we've seen is like there's information loss at these like handoff points. Mm-hmm. Everyone has their own system or their own spreadsheet. They're communicating on emails. So everyone's not looking at the same data at the same time. So you lose vital information, whether it's, submittals, whether it's lead times, and there's no proactive resolving of those issues. So we've been able to sort of say, okay, look, let's look at all this data, post-construction, pre-construction, and leverage data to solve our supply chain issues. And that's been exciting to see.
And what do you expect to see over the next 12 to 18 months? Obviously, it's hard to talk about this given the lead times are often variable, and we're talking about these time frames quite early in advance. But where do you expect to see the big challenges for the industry, let's say a year or two from now? I
mean, you're probably aware, our biggest challenges are labor and supply chain. Now, when it comes to lead times, for example, transformers are like 2-3 years out. I don't think you can do, just because you sort of bring Krane into the table, we're not able to change that outcome. But I think what needs to happen is proactive decision making around that pain point that you see. So what else could you do around that transformer equipment that you can potentially coordinate and navigate the supply chain in a different way? Again, it comes back to taking certain decisions more upstream, right? Sometimes you have to allocate capital early to mitigate the risk of liquidated damages or delays in projects.
Yeah.
So that's what we're seeing. I think early capital allocation is almost like a critical approach now. We see a lot of owners getting online with these suppliers, trying to like get as many equipment as possible, even though they might not even have projects kicking off, because they know if they don't get in line or online, they're not going to build because they're missing some of this critical equipment.
And how are the current, how's the geopolitical climate affecting some of these conversations?
It's tough, right? And again, I think it's another one of those factors that you potentially don't have control, right? One of the biggest things that I'm seeing right now is issues around copper, right? Both from a tariff standpoint as well as an availability standpoint. So how do you maybe go back to upstream design elements, like when someone's developing a spec or some architectural decision making? Could you sort of look at alternative material, right? And be more proactive about that is sort of what you can do, right? Because maybe a couple of years ago, we've seen the same spec copying and pasted into the same project. And then you sort of start all of that supply chain issues right from day one, right? So, but I think there's a shift in the mindset where they're like, listen, we're gonna provide material availability, lead time, pricing right upstream, so that when we're building a spec, you have all of this information beforehand, so that you can be proactive with some of those early decision making.
Great. Well, that is all we have time for, but I really want to thank you for joining me, and thank you to our viewers for watching. There's plenty more interviews from the Content Studio that you can see on our website, but for now, that is all we have time for. So thank you so much, and goodbye.